On
Here. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the session Indian Staffing Federation Growing Role of the Organized Staffing Industry. For this session, Sipal is joined by Suchita Datta, Executive Director, Indian Staffing Federation. But before we launch into today's session, there are a few housekeeping items to cover. First, each session will be recorded and available on demand through CPAL's website. A follow-up email will be sent to all registrants with the recording and any other relevant material. Second, we'll have a Q&A session following the discussion. All participants have entered the session muted, so please enter your questions in the questions tab on your right-hand menu and we'll address them at the end of the panel. And finally, we are on a strict schedule today. To save time for Q&A period, I'll give a 5-minute warning to our speakers. After the 5-minute warning, the speaker will conclude their conversation and will open for Q&A. Please note that this session will end promptly at the scheduled time. At that point, we encourage you to visit our agenda tab and explore our other topics and speakers in the 4 different tracks. If you do not visit the agenda tab, you will be automatically redirected to the next session in this track. That's it. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today. So, Suchita comes from a background of spearheading roles in marketing communications, technology, and research for over 18 years in both private and non-profit sectors. Her experience stems from managing roles in a global staffing firm for establishing and streamlining communications, brand development, and technology initiatives. Suchita aims at strengthening the efforts of the staffing industry towards comprehensive growth, building strategic relationships, and establishing effective linkages between industry, employers, government, and temporary contractual employees. Thank you so much, Suchita, for joining. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Tasneem. This is a pleasure, and good evening to all of you who are joining us from India, and good morning to everyone who's joining us from US. And if any other country has joined, a respective greeting to that country's speaker or participant from that country. I hope that since India it is close to about dinner time, I can at best say let's have a clink of glasses of water or whatever appropriate drink that we would take at this point of time. And while the presentation is being put up, I would humbly request that if all of you who have joined can participate in a dialogue after the session, that would be very interesting for all of us to understand how the staffing industry, not only in India, but globally is progressing. If we could move to the first slide, I'll just have a quick introduction to what the Indian Staffing Federation is all about. As an industry body, our first representation is to the advocacy work that we do with the government. So, yes, we are a representative body of the Indian staffing industry, which today is approximately about a 71,000 crore industry as a market size. These are the estimates from last March. So, please let's be a little understanding of the fact that the numbers may have gone a little different due to the COVID. However, I'm sure with the market reviving in the anvil and it's already kind of started showing good signs, so we should be back to our normal working numbers very soon within this quarter, hopefully. The impact of COVID, while has been one, but I think the way our staffing industry has been, it is more or less, I think, has seen a lot of growth, not because of just the COVID, but also because of the way the whole dimension of the Indian policy system is changing. The recognition the staffing industry is getting, the gig workers, protection, all these are something that are shaping the staffing industry of tomorrow. Currently, our members that we are associated with are about 110. They in turn represent about a million temp staff. And through them, they're connected to about 60,000 user companies in India. And obviously, they have the counterparts in the other parts of the globe as well. This is what we represent. The work that we are doing in terms of protecting the interest of the industry. If we could move to the next slide. Then, okay. So this would just showcase what we are doing at this point of time and what we continue to do in terms of ensuring that there is enough projections and protection that is given to develop and organize the staffing industry. We are the nation's strongest staffing advocacy efforts that we put in, and the four labor codes that have come into being out of that, bringing the national and the state license in lieu of the CLRA to ensure there is ease of doing business, and the license is applicable for 5 years straight, which was earlier just a work order based license and was very difficult because of the administrative hassles that companies had to go through to ensure that they are able to function and provide the manpower services at the earliest possible when the jobs are required by the principal employer. Focusing the increase of formal and reducing the informal, because our country obviously is 85% operating under informal. Whereas in the IT staffing sector, I would say we are one of the most promising, we have the most promising manpower, whether it is being shifted to US or it is something that is employed here technology wise. Obviously, we have the strength. However, the trainings and the skills that are required may not be as apt that is required by the future market demands. So our next effort is obviously to strengthen the members with industry best practices, the knowledge requirement, the interaction that they need to have, growing the staffing ecosystem through stakeholder engagement, peer and industry networking, and then empowering the industry with the research trend reports. That are the usual efforts that we put in. Moving to the next slide, please. So, what is the process that we adopt? Adoption of the process is mostly to encourage the networking capabilities between the members. Most of the interaction that happens is either based on the trends, technologies, research reports, interaction. I mean, last 1 year has been practically the virtual interaction, but face-to-face interactions definitely have their own meaning. Enhancing the brand value of our members through various activities that we do, and one of them could be using platforms like that of CPAL. Then enabling the teams that are within the staffing industry, which ensures that their skills are developed and they have the adequate trainings from time to time, because staffing industry does not have any specific training that are provided by outsiders. So it is more or less, it is a trainings that the industry has to provide for the industry and by the industry. Moving to the next slide. Coming close to the numbers that we represent in India, I mean, this is something that is of interest primarily because if you see the total population that India has versus the working age, and then you come to the formal numbers, the numbers are extremely minimal in terms of the protection. This is the formal employment that has really not grown much in the previous few years. But if I were to look at the percentage, it is an encouraging figure that, formal at least grew at 10.8%, whereas the informal grew at 3.4% between the last 3 years that we have noticed. Because there is a wide understanding between the job seekers and the government, as well as the principal employers, that come what may, when the burden of social security falls on any of the stakeholders, it is very difficult to financially be able to sustain the situation. Somewhat what we noticed in the pandemic of the first quarter of the year, and it wasn't easy either for the government or the principal employers to sustain the costs that they needed to sustain, give to the people who were losing their jobs or were not employable at that point of time due to the various shifts that were being done for the lockdown. And that is not in India. I think that was a worldwide story. So in the 3 years, what we have noticed is about 2.7% shift from informal to formal. The formal workforce growing at about 10.8% CAGR. And the tripartite at the same time grew about at 16% CAGR. If I were to look at it, staffing growth will at least be close to a 1.5 times or 2 times of a double if there is a growth in the formal sector. And that's where the benefit comes from, that, as a staffing industry body, we have to ensure that the government and the stakeholders like principal employers and job seekers all understand the difference that we make together. While the IT staffing industry obviously plays at a higher margins compared to the general staffing, but at the same time, today, if you see the labor reforms that are coming into the anvil, with April most likely to be the date when the implementations will start, there will be a huge difference in the way the salaries are structured, the way the HR policies are defined, the way the entire script of HR and the landscape of incentives or enhanced salaries, everything has to be defined. I think that is another area where a lot of knowledge share, hand holding, policy related matters clarification will be done at the end of ISF and for its ISF members. Maybe move forward, please. Quickly coming to the three major angles that ISF works with is engage, empower, and enable. What do we do to engage, empower, and enable? At the end of the day, the staffing is known to be the driving force behind formalization. And for that, our objectives are very clear. We need to streamline our legal environment, which is fostering the growth for the industry. We need to establish lasting awareness of not only ourselves, but also the key about our industry to the key stakeholders like government, employers, staffing companies, job seekers, trade unions, industry bodies, etc. And obviously to build a representative association together, because at the end of the day we are only as good as what our members are asking us to do and what the industry is shaping into, because our role is to ensure that the industry is safeguarded. Moving to the next slide, please. Yeah, serving the industry, shaping the future of work. Let's see what we have to talk about in here. Next slide. So the landmark achievement, as I mentioned, has been obviously into the OSH code, that is the fourth labor code, where it will be represented, and ISF's work has been persistently to bring out the national license or the state license that the companies can work in. And that's where the labor minister's speech has also been uh, congratulating the efforts of the Indian Staffing Federation, wherein it has been very clear that the inputs that we have provided, most of it is basically, I wouldn't say new, but the policymakers are kind of unaware of the way the staffing industry functions. And today, when we are standing at a crossroads where gig work is becoming the flavor of employment, and self-employment has also become one of the most revered form of keeping yourself occupied to start a business, there are a lot of startups who need the facilitation of staffing. There are a lot of gig workers who need the protection, which can come through the model of social networking and social security. And these are something that ISF is next taking up as agenda. So, public policy rapid response committee and teams are what we come up with, and we ensure that they are the ones that are discussing the future of the staffing industry. The 9 years of success with state and central is what we have been discussing, partnerships with government agencies like ILO, UN bodies. Now, why is it required? Why is it required that we intervene with the work that is happening at the ILO or the UN bodies? Because what happens is that when the global bodies are taking decisions, imperatively they will be trying to enforce this into the countries, and the countries will be led by the government agencies, government bodies, which will ultimately be either adopting such a change or will not be adopting, but could be taking some notes out of it. So it is very important that we understand when the global labor law changes, it impacts everyone's business no matter which part of the world they are in. And it is very important that they understand the realities of the challenges that are going throughout the country or the world at that same point of time. A small example will be fixing the fees. If a staffing company is charging an X amount of fees to do its service, I don't think that is somewhere the recruitment fees or anything of that sort can be governed by an outsider, which will not understand the dynamics of a particular country, state, or the relationship with a particular customer. The PR outreach and marketing programs to improve the industry's perception is our continuous effort, and that is something we keep on doing from time to time. Moving forward, please. Smaller activities that help in terms of getting observations clear to our members is how do we support them into their day-to-day work. So model contracts, most of the companies who are starting up new into the business or are entering India, they would need to understand how the model contracts will be shaped, what kind of inputs that will safeguard their interest, not only with just the job seeker, but also with the employer, because both the contracts are equally important and both are customers as far as staffing industry is concerned. Industry's best practices from time to time, whatever the best practices that we come across, we try to ensure that our members know about it. The best practices could be adopted or not adopted will be dependent on the organization and the way the practices are defined there. Moving on quickly to the part where we are looking at timely legal and legislative updates, because this is the major function of any of the industry bodies, that we are able to give the timely legal advices, legislative change updates, so that the companies can be prepared to come up with what are the new force majeure actions, are they required, not required, how to go about it, what is it that we can safeguard ourselves with, how to prepare. All those kind of material is something that we kind of continue to provide as and when that is necessary to be given to the respective members. Issue papers, staffing related laws, various connecting industry and peer sessions. These are all the major activities that would be picking up. And at the same time, the whole activity of legal and compliance is to protect the business, to ensure that our members and the staffing company and the staffing industry is protected in advance, so that they can take the benefits of the opportunities that are coming their way. Moving to the next slide, please. The various insights and information that we give are not only based out of just interactions and peer-to-peer engagement. There are a lot of reports that we kind of keep on coming up. There is a interaction that we have with staffing industry analysts. We also bring in a lot of interaction with the world leaders across the globe, who kind of give us some kind of a direction how the world is shaping up. But at the same time, there is a lot of inputs that we do from an Indian perspective, so that to understand that, at the end of the day, what kind of trends, technologies, efforts that will be required, how is it that it can shape tomorrow, how is it that we can bring in more information to be able to facilitate our members. That is the primary agenda that ISF works with. Moving to the next slide, please. Another area of our work, which crucially is mandated, because what happens is our corporate and peer networking. At the end of the day, how many appointments that you can get through one particular meeting, and how many rounds of meetings that you would need to go and meet your customer. That is the difference that we try to bring through bringing your customer at the same platform as what you are. And our flagship annual conferences are usually turned into meets, which helps the customers meet the staffing companies, and the staffing companies in turn can also meet the partners that they would like to leverage, because of the efforts that they put in, either through a technology or whether through the part of, if I were to put it, the way it is shaped, from the perspective of the way, I would say, a staffing company will need to move forward. There could be a lot of sessions that are held in terms of the responses that we pick up from our members, so that at the end of the day, when our members guide us that a particular industry is what they would be keen on meeting, so that forms our guidelines for the work that goes forward. Moving to the next slide, please. So there are sector-specific volunteer opportunities, and this is how our members also get involved. So it is not something that is run just purely by the efforts of the staffing companies, who are part as members, but there are also the teams below that get involved with us. And how can they get involved? Because they will get to understand the sector-specific volunteer. And now, if I were to put it like this, a lot of organizations today have a lot of programs to engage their own employees, but nothing like engaging them with what the industry is doing, how the industry is progressing. So it's in a way a roadmap of success for the employees also, to see how the industry is growing. So they become part of our regional chapters, activities of networking events, committee discussion forums, online communities of discussions, the live webinar discussions, and the interest groups. This is how we combine and network and bring our members together, so that knowledge transfer is not just happening at one level, it is happening at multiple level, and all levels of recruiting teams, be it the BD teams, be it the CEOs, the financials, the regulatory, everybody is involved with us, so that all the progress that we make as an industry body, everybody is part of that movement. Moving to the next slide, please. How do we take advantage of industry leadership opportunities? So every member, there is an equal opportunity to lead the industry body. So today, if you see, we as an industry body, we are led by a board and an executive corporate members program. So the board is elected purely by the members. and the members form the executive committee that works, or the committee heads that they become. So every member today has an equal opportunity to lead the industry body, give direction to the industry body, to ensure that the industry body is addressing the need of the members and the industry itself. So there are mental match programs. There is a participating activities in brand visibility. There is activities where state chairs are involved as brand ambassadors. There is a career initiative that we try to bring where the talent which is not really keen to join staffing as an industry, we kind of try to encourage them to the various institutes, various talks, various involvement with outside of just the staffing industry, to ensure that people also see careers in the staffing industry. Then we have the lot of committees and leadership interest groups that obviously keep the businesses going, and that helps in terms of bringing in better leadership qualities from within the industry that we are in. Moving to the next slide, please. ISF membership, yes, in short, if I were to put it, it is used for building powerful connections. It is used for building powerful visibility. It is used for also ensuring that we are providing the best of networking for your company, which can lead to new business opportunities and continued growth. Moving to the next slide. In short, we are keeping our members up to date with the staffing developments. We are advocating on behalf of the staffing companies. We are tracking and organizing, engaging with hundreds of central and state acts notifications, which ensure that our members and the staffing companies in turn are aware of the changes that are happening in the regulatory system, and ensuring that we have the resources which help and manage to protect the businesses of our members. The whole activity of the federation is always governed by only one thing, that we ensure that the staffing is driving formalization and we are engaging, empowering, and enabling our industry. We would invite you to join us in case you are feeling like you need to be part of the body. But besides that, I think it will be great if we have questions that will help us also understand the demands of the staffing companies today and how they are foreseeing the future of the staffing industry. With that, I would like to conclude and request Tasneem to bring in questions if there are any. Or otherwise, we will take in. I mean, my email ID will be with the CPAL team. It is suchita@isf.org.in. And we'll be more than happy to address any questions that can be coming up towards me. Over to you, Tasneem.
Thank you, Suchita, for an excellent presentation and your insights on Indian Staffing Federation. And now we begin with a Q&A. So, Suchita, we have a question from one of our attendees. So they would like to know, according to you, what do you think are the benefits of being an ISF member?
See, the benefits is that, if I were to look at it, when you're running an organization, all you're thinking about is how your organization should grow. And when you are looking at the growth path, there are various challenges. If you fight those challenges on your own as an individual organization, the chances are it will take longer. So we fight the battle together. So when we have already 100 representation, and then obviously we have members joining us, it strengthens the voice and the cause of the industry. So then the battle is not just of one organization, it is the battle of the industry. And when the industry fights, obviously it is a better result and faster results that we get.
Right, got it. So it was great having you, Suchita, and thank you for making the session interesting and meaningful.
It was wonderful experience for me as well. Thank you so much, Tasneem.
And I